All right, so this whole thing that Georgia's doing right now, Kirby Smart and so forth, is this only about winning championships? Is that all this is? Is it only about the rings? And I think that's a good question because I think the answer is a little bit complicated, frankly. In the grand scheme of things, um, it is not about the rings at all. So there's different reasons for saying that. Okay, first of all, if you're Nick Chubb, you didn't win. Nick Chubb's never won a championship in football that I'm aware of, like a state championship, national championship in the NFL. He's not. So does that diminish Nick Chubb as a person or as an athlete? No. I mean, he's an amazing player, one of the greatest players in Georgia history, arguably the best running back all time. I would not have him there, but at Georgia. But did is Nick? Is this did it not work because Nick didn't get a ring? No, I don't think so at all. So that's that. Secondly, though, uh, off the field, which is as much important as which is as much a part of college life as on the field. I would say, there's more time off the field than there is on. Um, that part is critical. You know, what are these guys getting? How are they getting ready for life post football? Because football ends, and sports ends. And so, how are these guys learning to prepare themselves for life? Some of them already have children. Some of them, I mean, most of them are going to make money, if not substantial money. How are they getting ready for life after they don't have silver britches to put on anymore? But in terms of accountability, so to speak, I don't really know another word. It's hard not to judge it that way in terms of, is this about the rings? Well, at this point, it seems like it kind of is. So that's in terms of for Georgia. That's the hard part for a story about for a question like this. Is it really only about winning national championships at Georgia when that's all you've done lately? You see these two moments in time, Georgia winning the national championship in back-to-back seasons. That's not normal. And, you know, that has become the way in which we judge the top. It's not about, I tell you, I don't know if people in Athens would care if Georgia won the league right now, which is insane. But they care a lot if they bring home a golden trophy. If you want to get double dogs, make sure you're signing up for our newsletter down below. I'm giving 5 of these away before May 15th. But if you've not signed up by May 15th, you're not eligible for it. So it's between May 1st and May 15th. So get that signed. Get signed up for our newsletter. It doesn't cost anything. 5 people will get books for free. Um, we are at the point though where this is basically just about national championships. That's what the judgment is now. I mean, that's what Kirby's going to be judged on. Did that team, did that player, did they win a national championship? You know, did that's how it's been elevated. We are at the point where they've lost one game of their last 30. It's actually longer than that. This decade they've lost 3 games. 3 games. Um, One of those games was to the team that they beat for a national championship. One of those games was to an undefeated national champion, and the other game was to Florida. So they have just been the standard of excellence. When they talk about the standard, which is kind of that sometimes the so-called standard that doesn't we're kind of back and forth on that a little bit in terms of our definition of these things. Um, so that's okay. But the standard at Georgia, quite frankly, lately has been just winning every single game, and that that is an impressive feat. That's not going to continue. That won't go on forever because it's just too much to ask of any program to continue that streak or that run of excellence. Someone is going to play really well against you when you're not playing well. Now, a season ago, Georgia did not play well against Missouri, but they played well enough to stop a team that was really just not capable of beating them when they couldn't go to their second gear, Mizzou. I mean, they didn't really have other answers. Once they got, stopped in the second half, they couldn't go to their vaunted, passing game or whatever. I mean, it just wasn't there. So, and you look at Ohio State, they couldn't stop Georgia in the second half. So Georgia is so diverse in the way in which it can beat you. It's very problematic. That is the biggest thing right now with this program is when you look at the board and you say, wow, these like this particular player is not unbelievable. This you can get around that guy. He's not unreal. Like he's not Jalen Carter. He's not like Zion Logue comes to mind. Zion Logue is not probably not a first round draft pick, right? Like he's not some unstoppable force. But when you pair him with Brinson, Nazir, etc., Williams, it becomes Walthour. It becomes challenging because all of the moving parts are working together and wielding a very significant hammer um, against the offense. So that's the thing is there's really no one player on this team. Even Bowers. Bowers is pretty close though. That you're like, man, I don't know how we're going to stop him. The issue is not necessarily Bowers. It's Bowers is a problem, no doubt. But it's that if you say, okay, well, we're going to shade and do this with Bowers, that means you're taking away from the receivers, probably. Um, if you're saying, okay, well, we're gonna stop the run, whatever that means against Georgia. Well, stopping the run means you're taking assets that you've got and stopping the run with them. You can do that. Like if you really want to stop the run, you can. But like Mississippi State in 2020 was a great example of this. They stopped the run. That's the last team I remember really stopping the run against Georgia. And JT Daniels threw for 400 yards. So like, which one do you want it to be? And that they can do both is the scary part, I think, in the grand scheme of things. I mean, I'm trying to remember that I they were we were on the road in 2020 and they had won a relatively close game. I'm trying to remember. It was on the road, and they were very excited about what had happened. I can't remember what game that was for Georgia, though. It was not the Arkansas game. But they, this program, when I said they were excited, I was talking about the offensive side of the ball. It might have been the Carolina game. Now that I think about it, like or Missouri. See, I was the only person there. It was me and Roddy. That was it. No, everybody else bailed out. So I just putting myself on a pedestal here. When people talk about how they really cover the dogs, they don't. I mean, not the way that we did. You know, so all these nose in the air journalists, nah, man, you weren't at one of their games. Like you chose to take that week off because it was in Missouri during COVID. We didn't. And that was when that reaction was, I think, because they kind of pushed away from Mizzou so far. It was either there or at South Carolina, which were essentially back-to-back games. That South Carolina game was the Saturday after Thanksgiving. That whole season was just so strange, bizarre. It was like you were watching a movie, like a dystopian movie. There was nothing good about it. But um, is this only about winning championships? And I think the answer to this is yes and no. But on the field, the answer is yes. On the field, there's no question that the answer is yes. We've gotten to the point at Georgia where if they're not winning the national championship, we have to ask a question. The question is, why did they not? Not why in an accusatory way, but why did they not win the national championship? What happened along the way? The correct answer can be they lost to Alabama in the SEC championship, or they lost to Ohio State in the semifinals, or Michigan, or Alabama, or whoever in the semifinals. That can be the answer, but there should be an explanation, that they don't do something now because the program is too fine tuned. It is a group of 85 players plus however many people that are there to do one thing, and that's win. That's win. But off the field, it's not the same as on. But yeah, if this is this about the rings? Yeah, it is in that case.